It's me. Hello, everybody. Listen, I hope you all are doing fantastically well. Hopefully, you're doing as well as I am today. And I have some awesome content for you that I know will help you put money in your pocket if you understand and apply the information that I'm going to be sharing with you tonight, folks. You know, my mentor, Coach Les Brown, used to always tell me something that I never quite understood. He said, Devin, you want to learn how to speak so that when you speak, you transform an audience both individually and collectively. Now, I thought I understood what this meant. And on the surface level, I did understand what that meant. That we want to speak in a way that it touches the group and it touches the person. But as I dove into the art of persuasion, the art of selling, the art of creating and forming mental pictures in other people, I've truly understood and learned what my mentor said when he said, learn how to speak in a way that transforms an audience both individually and collectively. I'm going to share something with you from a book that is probably the hardest read that I've ever partaken in, right? This is like the hardest book for me to read. Like 2 pages takes like 30 minutes. And it's called The Crowd, the study of the popular mind. And it's by a gentleman named Gustave Le Bon. Gustave Le Bon. Say that one. Gustave Le Bon. It's by Gustave Le Bon. And this thing, it's a big ass book, and this is what it looks like. Okay, it's like size 8 font, and it's this big. I mean, it's just not the easiest read. But here's the thing: a lot of coaches, a lot of consultants, a lot of speakers are doing things without understanding the reason why they're doing them. The reason why a lot of us are not getting the results that we want when we're selling our products and services in a webinar, in a masterclass, in a challenge, a virtual event, a live event, is because we're doing something without understanding the psychology that goes behind it. See, if you do something without understanding why you're doing it, you'll never be as good as you could be. I mean, think about it. Imagine your grandma with her favorite cake. You know, the cake that you love. See, your grandma knows what she's doing, but more importantly, she knows why she's doing each little thing. She knows how to throw the little sprinkle in. She knows the fact that she has to add the little ingredient extra that's not listed on the recipe. But if she just gives you the recipe, it's not going to come out tasting the same as grandma's cake. Why? Because grandma not only knew what to do, but she knew why she was doing what she was doing. So a lot of the times we are doing these sales presentations, challenges, webinars, masterclasses, and we're doing like, here's the 3 secrets. Day 1, millionaire mentality. Day 2, learn how to scale your business without ads. Golly. And we're doing all of these things without understanding the psychology behind them. So I want to tell you something about the psychology today. I want to read a little excerpt from this book. And there is a difference between an audience and a crowd. An audience is simply a group of people that you speak to. A crowd is much different. This is how we're going to define a crowd. I want to read this to you. In its ordinary sense, the word crowd means a gathering of individuals of whatever nationality, profession, or sex, and whatever be the chances that have brought them together. From the psychological point of view, the expression crowd assumes quite a different signification. Under certain given circumstances, and only under those circumstances, an agglomeration of men presents new characteristics very different from those of the individuals composing it. Here's the key. The sentiments and ideas of all the persons in the gathering take one and the same direction. Pause. I'm going to read that again. The sentiments and ideas of all the persons in the gathering take one and the same direction. Isn't that interesting? Because when there's a crowd of people that come together, well, there's a lot of people going in a bunch of different directions with a lot of thoughts. But a crowd is when the sentiments and ideas of everybody form one big sentiment and idea, where everybody in that crowd is going in the same direction. Why is this so important? When you're building out your challenges, when you're building out your sales presentations and you're speaking one to many, it is absolutely imperative that you identify the direction that you want to take the audience. Because when you identify the direction, meaning, what's the identity that you want to shape for them? What is the identity of the audience that you're presenting to? Because right here, in order for you to do your very best, you need to create an environment in which all the people take on one and the same direction. Where although people might have come on the call with a bunch of different mindsets, I don't have the money, I don't have the time, I don't have the kids, I don't got the llamas, I don't got the ponies. It doesn't matter. How do you create an environment where the synergy, where the energy, where the mentality, and ultimately the identity of those in attendance shifts and creates one social identity? So what you have to begin to do is define, what is the identity for my audience? Because the identity for the audience will always be greater and more important than the identity of the individual. Why? Well, I'll tell you why. I'm going to read this again. The sentiments and ideas of all the persons in gathering take one and the same direction. Here's why. And their conscious personality vanishes. This is why people do challenges. They don't know it. Their conscious personality it vanishes. Now they take on the personality of the group. So when you have multiple days to spend time with an audience, you help form the personality of the group. And those that partake in the group go ahead and lose their individuality and become one of the group without them even realizing it. This is like next levels marketing stuff. This is dangerous. This is what Hitler, Mussolini, this is what the worst people in history used. But we have the opportunity to use this information for the betterment of those that we serve. I'm going to say that again. The sentiments and ideas of all the persons in the gathering take one and the same direction, and their conscious personality vanishes, and a collective mind is formed. A collective mind is formed. This is why a 5-day challenge is so much more powerful than a 45-minute webinar. In a webinar, you don't have the time to build a collective mind. But over a course of 5 days, you do, if you do it right. So how do we craft and deliver our presentations in such a way that a collective mind is formed? Because when a collective mind is formed, what happens is people break their limiting beliefs. People no longer hold themselves back by the lies that they've been telling themselves. and they become a new version, and they take action, and they step into who God called them to be. And ultimately, when you speak in this way, the audience that you speak to forms a single being. So instead of 100 people being there, now it's just one being. Because when you learn how to speak in a way that you transform the collective, they will lose their individuality for the most part. It's not a bad thing. You might disagree. I don't care. It's not a bad thing. It's a very good thing. Because it will enable people to break through the shit that they've been telling themselves for so long. And that is what we call the law of the mental unity of crowds. That when you speak in a way that transforms an audience collectively, there becomes one mental unity. Where there is one collective being with one personality, with one identity. And those that are part of that group take on the identity and the personality of the group. So what does this mean for you? How you have to begin to learn to get people into a group and speak in a way that you transform them from an audience into a crowd. So this was a very high level training. I covered just this paragraph right here, nothing else. I'll be honest, y'all. This is a hard read. This book, this is hard. I got a perfect grade point average in college, and I'm struggling. I'm struggling to read this. I just read this on the back. I'm not going to touch that right now. Thanks for being here, guys. I appreciate it.